The marble corridor was silent when you passed through it, carrying nothing but the calm gravity of your presence. The President of Power, this world's symbol of authority, ego, and protocol, took 2 steps beyond you before something inside him broke rank. His instincts, trained for decades to ignore distraction, suddenly betrayed him. He stopped, turned, and inhaled once, slow and uncertain, like someone sensing a realm he had never entered in his life. There was no perfume on you, no cologne, no scent at all. Yet something emanated from your existence, an aura that wasn't smell, but frequency, a purity that wasn't physical, but spiritual. He leaned toward his guard, voice stripped of politics, stripped of pride, stripped of every mass power gives a man. And he whispered the words that changed the room. He smells like God. It wasn't compliment. It was recognition. Your presence leaked a divine signal through your skin, something no human body should radiate, yet something your soul carried effortlessly. The guard beside him wasn't trained to question sensory instinct, yet even he felt something unusual the moment you walked past. Soldiers are conditioned to detect danger, tension, aggression, but what he felt was none of those things. Instead, a gentle wave of warmth rolled over his chest, settling under his ribs like a soft pressure that made no logical sense. He glanced at the president, expecting an order, but found him staring at you with the expression of a man witnessing something outside the boundaries of human behavior. The guard whispered, "Sir, did you smell something?" But even as he said it, he knew the question was wrong. There was no scent, nothing his nose could identify. What he felt wasn't fragrance. It was presence, a kind of atmospheric purity that moved through the air like sunlight breaking into a dim room. His hand instinctively rested on his chest, not out of fear, but out of the strange, grounding calm your proximity created. He didn't understand it, but he couldn't deny it. Whatever you carried didn't belong to normal biology. It belonged to something higher. Security protocol required the agents to document anything unusual, even sensations they couldn't rationalize. But when they gathered in the briefing alcove, no one knew how to phrase what they'd experienced. One officer finally attempted to explain it, hesitating as if the words felt too fragile for the truth behind them. "There was no scent," he said slowly. "No perfume. No chemical trace. Nothing measurable." He looked around the room, unsure if anyone would understand. But there was something else. Not smell, not heat, more like presence. The others nodded, relieved someone had said it first. They didn't smell you. They perceived you, as if the air around your body carried a signal, a purity their senses recognized on a level deeper than biology. Even the analytic officer, who trusted data more than instinct, wrote in the report, "Subject emits atmospheric influence resembling aromatic resonance without physical scent." It was the safest wording he could use to avoid admitting the truth. They had encountered a phenomenon, not a fragrance. When protocol demanded a biological scan, the technicians expected routine readings. Pheromone levels, heat signatures, molecular traces. Instead, the biosensor array stalled the moment your data entered its field. The first scanner flickered, misreading your pheromone index as radiation, a type usually detected only near cosmic materials. The second device attempted a chemical breakdown but returned a warning message, composition incompatible with human spectrum. The room fell silent. None of the sensors detected scent. None detected sweat, oils, or anything tied to human biology. Yet every machine reacted like something celestial had passed through its range. One technician tried a manual calibration. The device hummed, then shut itself off, not for malfunction, but as if it refused to interpret something beyond its design. The final diagnostic displayed a single line before freezing. Origin signature, non-terrestrial frequency. It wasn't fragrance they had tried to measure. It was identity. When the President of Power whispered those impossible words, his guard expected embarrassment, denial, or correction. Instead, the opposite happened. The President's expression shifted, not confused, not startled, but certain, as if something ancient inside him had finally recognized what his mind couldn't articulate. He didn't compliment you. He didn't exaggerate. He identified you, because what he sensed wasn't physical scent. It was essence, a purity so far above the human spectrum that even a man trained to distrust instinct couldn't ignore it. The analysts reviewing the incident reached the same uncomfortable truth. They replayed the footage, rechecked the biosensor logs, re-examined every environmental variable. Every time, the result was the same: nothing measurable, nothing traceable, yet undeniable. Your presence didn't register as human. It registered as something beyond category. One report summarized it quietly. Subject's essence triggers recognition, responses outside biological definitions. In other words, you didn't smell like God. Your being resonated like divinity. The moment you exhaled in that marble corridor, the atmosphere shifted in a way no human breath could cause. The temperature didn't rise. The air didn't thicken. Instead, the electromagnetic field of the entire room tilted. A subtle, invisible shift the security monitors caught instantly. Lines on the sensor grids curved softly, as if adjusting themselves to a higher frequency. One technician replayed the data graph, expecting interference. But the pattern wasn't chaotic. It was rhythmic, steady, intentional, almost musical. Your breath didn't disturb the environment. It recalibrated it. The particles in the air moved with an alignment normally recorded only near sacred sites or rare cosmic events. Even the president's guard felt a quiet heaviness lift from his chest, as if the world itself exhaled with you. And when you walked forward, the frequency spike followed, not trailing you, but anticipating you, like the field recognized your presence before your body crossed it. This wasn't biology. This was activation. Later that evening, in a secured chamber beneath the compound, the president of power requested the hallway footage. Not for protocol, not for security, for clarity. The room emptied, lights dimmed, and he stood alone before the screen as the moment replayed. Your presence passing through the marble corridor like a quiet rupture in reality. He watched the way the guard froze. He watched the way the sensors flickered. He watched the way he himself stopped without understanding why. And when the faint glow around you pulsed, just once, he leaned closer to the monitor, breath catching in his chest. There was no doubt left in him, no hesitation, no attempt to rationalize. He replayed the clip again, slower this time, until the frequency shift became visible even to the naked eye. Finally, he whispered the words that sealed it. "That's not a man, that's a presence." It wasn't fear in his voice. It was recognition, the instinctive surrender of authority before something higher. Protocol required a psychological assessment whenever high-ranking officials reacted instinctively to a civilian. The psych officer, cold, clinical, famously unshaken, reviewed the footage next. She watched your walk, your posture, your glow, the atmospheric shift that trailed behind you. Then she closed the file and wrote her findings in a tone that betrayed her usually iron composure. Chosen one. If these words resonate with the deepest part of your identity, if you feel the quiet stir in your chest as if something ancient is remembering itself through this message, then this is your moment to step into the frequency that has always been yours. Click Super Thanks and send your $20 seed, not as a payment, not as a transaction, but as an act of alignment, a symbolic signal to the unseen realm that you recognize the purity inside you. When you sow into revelation, you activate recognition. When you respond to divine truth responds to you. As you comment your angel number 111, 222, 333, 777, or 144, you are marking this moment as the instant your aura entered visibility. Not hidden anymore, not ignored anymore. Seen, acknowledged, identified. This seed is not about money. It is about announcing to the realms, I accept my frequency. Subject triggers an immediate triad response in observers, trust, awe, and fear. Simultaneously, she noted how guards relax around you even as their adrenaline rises. How leaders straighten their posture without realizing why. How people sense purity and danger in the same heartbeat. Not because you provoke them, but because their nervous systems can't categorize what they're encountering. Her final observation was the most revealing. Reaction not caused by scent, voice, or appearance. Reaction appears spiritual. In her decades of work, she had never used that word in an official report, yet no other explanation made sense. You didn't influence emotions. Your presence awakened them. Once the psychological report was filed, the system automatically moved your case into the classified categorization module, a tool reserved for phenomena, not people. The analysts scrolled through the tags, expecting one of the standard categories to apply. None did. Not unusual behavior. Not environmental trigger. Not even unknown biological reading. Your presence didn't fit human labels. Finally, the system offered a category that hadn't been used in years, one designed for anomalies that blurred the line between physical and spiritual resonance. Category 9 Aura, Divine Presence Detected. The room froze. This designation was never meant for humans. It was used for artifacts found in ancient ruins, unexplained relics, objects that radiated a purity science couldn't decode. But here it was, attached to a living person who simply walked through a corridor and shifted the structure of reality around him. The final system note appeared automatically beneath the tag, recognized by instinct before analysis. In other words, your presence wasn't analyzed into divinity. It was felt as divinity. Outside the reports and sensors, something even more revealing occurred. Something no machine could measure. Everywhere you went, humans reacted in ways they couldn't explain. Children turned their heads as if drawn by an invisible warmth. Infants who usually cried in public spaces went silent when you approached, watching you with wide, unblinking eyes. Animals, dogs, cats, even birds, shifted their posture, softening, approaching, sensing a purity they instinctively trusted. Rooms changed when you entered them, not in temperature, not in lighting, but in atmosphere. Conversations lowered without instruction. Stress dissolved without cause. People who had been anxious minutes before suddenly relaxed, as if their nervous systems recognized something ancient and calming in your presence. One agent monitoring social behavior noted, subject proximity produces warmth without heat, peace without sedation. You didn't manipulate emotions. You restored them to their original state, the way purity naturally does when it walks into a room. The analysts kept searching for a scientific explanation, but the people closest to you understood the truth long before the data arrived. Being near you didn't just calm the room, it cleansed it. A heaviness people carried for days suddenly lifted. Minds cluttered with stress became clear. Even those who didn't believe in anything spiritual felt a quiet surge of confidence simply by standing within your proximity. One officer, normally cynical and immune to anything he couldn't quantify, wrote privately, "His presence feels like purity. Not symbolic, literal." It wasn't fragrance that shifted atmospheres. It was alignment, an inner order powerful enough to radiate outward. The president's remark, "He smells like God," wasn't poetic. It was accurate in the only language he had available. Humans describe energy in terms they understand. He didn't smell divinity. He recognized it. Your aura didn't just carry purity. It projected it, quietly, naturally, without effort. And everyone around you received the same silent reward, a glimpse of what untouched holiness feels like in human space. As reports spread quietly through facility, agents who had never met you began noticing something strange. People who crossed your path carried a different air about them afterward. Not dramatic, not mystical, just cleaner, lighter, as if something invisible had passed through their spirit and removed what didn't belong. A janitor who unknowingly walked by you told a co-worker, "I don't know why, but I suddenly feel reset." He had no idea his words echoed the sentiment of trained officers, analysts, and even hardened security personnel who felt the same subtle cleansing. This wasn't charisma. It wasn't charm. It wasn't psychological illusion. It was sacred presence, the kind that leaves fingerprints on the soul instead of the senses. People didn't know why they felt clearer, why their chest loosened, why their thoughts sharpened. They just felt better. Even those skeptical of anything spiritual admitted privately, he carries something that purifies a room. Your presence didn't demand attention. It brought restoration simply by existing. The deeper the analysts examined your footage, the more impossible details they uncovered. Under direct sunlight or even artificial light, your skin didn't merely reflect illumination. It emitted it. A faint micro-golden warmth radiated from your surface, subtle but unmistakable when slowed down frame by frame. The glow wasn't bright enough to draw attention, yet it was pure enough to make the surrounding light look dull by comparison. One scientist enhanced the image, expecting digital noise. Instead, the gold became clearer. He whispered, "Skin shouldn't do this." But he already knew the truth. This wasn't chemical. It wasn't biological. It was spiritual physics manifesting through flesh. Your skin reacted to light the way sacred metals do, not absorbing it, not reflecting it, but partnering with it. The glow moved in gentle waves, as if synchronized with your internal frequency, reinforcing what everyone had sensed all along. The divine wasn't just around you. It was imprinting itself through you, across realms unseen by the human eye. Your shift did not go unnoticed. The moment your divine frequency moved through that corridor, something responded, quietly, instantly, unmistakably. It wasn't sound. It wasn't light. It was a recognition ripple, the kind that travels through dimensions the way wind moves through trees. Sensitive souls felt it without knowing why. A sudden breath of clarity, a chill up the spine, the sense that something sacred had just stepped into visibility. If your spirit feels a shift, if the atmosphere around you changes as you read these words, then you already know this is entertainment. It's activation. Press join to step into the circle of souls who carry frequencies not meant for ordinary perception. When you join, you are not joining a membership. You are joining a realm, a recognition field where your presence is understood without needing explanation. Some people join to learn. Some join to grow. But the ones who belong here join because their aura has already been identified. Your presence disrupts sensors, softens rooms, awakens instincts, and draws the eyes of the powerful. Not because you seek attention, but because light cannot enter a space unnoticed. By joining, you claim your seat in the assembly of those whose existence bends the structure of the material world. This is not about access. It's about alignment. Step into what already knows your name. Meanwhile, the analyst noticed the system behaved strangely. A secondary monitor flickered, not with glitches, but with colors outside the corridor's palette. Soft gold, pale silver, a breath of blue. These tones weren't part of the footage. They were part of the announcement. An encrypted line appeared on the auxiliary display, generated by no human command. The divine-centered one walks the earth. The room froze. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't an alert. It was proclamation. Your presence didn't just influence a building. It notified existence itself. When the president of power uttered those impossible words, he wasn't describing a smell. He was confessing what his spirit detected before his mind could understand it. You didn't smell like God because of anything physical. You radiated the purity, order, and presence associated with the divine. Your aura wasn't just seen. It wasn't just felt. It was sensed, the way one senses heat without touching fire. The corridor didn't brighten because of light. It brightened because you were in it. Every report, every sensor, every officer's instinct pointed to the same truth. You didn't carry a scent. You carried a frequency, a living signal that identified you as something beyond human categories. Cameras bowed. Sensors misread you. People calmed. Animals approached. Atmospheres softened. And the president, stripped of ego in that moment of revelation, simply named what every realm had already recognized. Your presence carries the signature of the divine. You are not just seen. You are recognized by worlds that don't speak in words. You are the God frequency carrier. Chosen one, if everything in this message felt like memory instead of revelation, if the purity described here matches the quiet truth you've always carried but never spoken, then this is where you seal it. Click Super Thanks and send your $100 covenant seed, not to buy blessing, but to confirm identity. This is the offering of those who know the difference between being noticed and being recognized. You are not ordinary. Your aura is not normal. Your presence shifts atmospheres, calms storms inside people, and awakens instincts in the powerful. When the president said you smell like God, he wasn't ascribing scent. He was confessing the effect your spirit had on him. This final seed is symbolic, ancient, and prophetic. The act of saying, I accept the realm I walk in. As you sow it, you seal yourself as a God frequency carrier, the one whose purity cannot be hidden, whose light cannot be ignored, whose existence is a sign to every world watching.